Okay, well, I think we should, even though there's still a few more people coming in, we should probably get started. So my name is Melissa Call. I'm a lab head in the Structural Biology Division, and I'm also the head of education here at WEHI. And before we begin today, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we're sitting on today. That's the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. And I also pay my respects to anybody here today who has Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander descent. And of course, the Aboriginal people of Australia have been passing down knowledge from generation to generation for the last tens of thousands of years. And at WEHI, that's what we do, but we've only been doing it for 109 years now, which is really a drop in the ocean compared to the history of Australia. And so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about WEHI. We were established in 1915 by a donation from Eliza Hall on behalf of herself and her late husband. And this bequest really sort of launched the Medical Research Institute that we know today. And there's been about 100 years of discoveries here at the Institute that include the development of snake antivenoms, Nobel Prize winning discoveries in adaptive immunity, finding proteins that promote blood cell formation, such as the colony stimulating factors, as well as developing drugs that are in the clinic now, practically melting lymphoma. And so you're all here today to find out a lot more about what we do, and we've got quite a few students to come and talk to you, but I just wanted to say a little bit about sort of what your experience might be if you come here. At WEHI, as a student, you really get embedded into our research community. In fact, you're sort of no different than any other staff member. And I think it's also interesting to reflect that as you sort of move from an undergraduate degree where your job is kind of to learn everything that you can and then sort of regurgitate that back in tests. Once you get into research, it starts to become more about what you don't know and what you can find out and what sort of research questions that you should be asking. And so this is sort of a transitional time in your academic career. And so we really would like to help you in that transitional time and be able to sort of train you into embarking on a research career, being able to communicate your science, and we'd like you to become some of the next great scientific leaders. And there's many different fields in which you can do this, and of course you can do it in academic research, biotechnology, clinical health, and of course there's many other industries where scientific degrees are valued. And so today you're going to have the chance to meet some of the scientists and students that are really here to spruik the projects that they have on offer. And I just sort of give you, I'll just say everybody that's out will be outside later is actually really interested to talk to you, so don't be shy. They'll be perfectly happy to answer your questions. They've got projects advertised. I've got a project advertised, so if you're feeling a little bit shy, you can even come and talk to me. And also, be curious. Maybe there's some projects that you haven't looked into, but, just chat to some people. You might find that there's something that's really interesting that you hadn't even thought about doing. And so before you get that chance, we've just got a lineup of speakers for you here to tell you about their experiences at WEHI. So you'll hear from a few of our students. One is a BSc Honours student, a PhD student and a clinician scientist. In fact, the PhD student happens to be my student. I found out he was speaking. He's going to tell you about his life as a PhD student, so I hope he says some nice things about the lab. And then we'll have our scientific education program leader, Jess Borger, to tell you a little bit about the application project here. But before we start with that, I'm going to introduce WESA, the WEHI Student Association President, Joel Moffat, to tell you a little bit more about the Student Association and life at WEHI.
Thank you, Melissa, and hi, everybody. Like Melissa said, my name is Joel. I am a PhD student in the Brain Cancer Lab, which is part of the Personalised Oncology Division here at WEHI, and I am also the president of the WEHI Student Association for this year, or WESA. I think I need to move forward. That's me. So WESA is kind of a holistic support for all of the students here at WEHI. Not only do we help engage with social activities so you get to know other people in the student cohort, but we also want to engage you academically and help foster your growth in this realm as well. So we do a plethora of student events throughout the year. Ones focusing more on academic support include our journal clubs, which can be run fortnightly to give you a bit more information about upcoming seminars from more senior lecturers and speakers throughout the year. Student mentoring, where you get to learn from more experienced students about how they've been going through things, and also just for you to chat with someone who's been through the stuff that you're going through now, so you get a little bit more reassurance that you're not just feeling imposter syndrome or whatever. There's also professional development and skills workshops that we run throughout the year. But we also do a lot of social events for getting to know each other and just improving the overall well-being of everybody that is a student here at WEHI. And these include monthly drinks where we have food such as pizza, and we do some game nights. We also do these across the other scientific institutes in the precinct. We do some mindfulness events and group excursions, but the main activity that we do every year is the student retreat, where all the students get to go off-site for 2 days. This is all covered by WEHI, which is very generous, and we get to have some very focused-in sessions about focusing on our well-being as students, making sure we're not putting too much pressure on ourselves, how to become a more engaging speaker, how to find those connections, networking, but also do lots of fun stuff like getting to know each other. And we have trivia nights, we dress up, we go for activities the next day, all to just build more of a community amongst our students. So in 2023, we went to Marysville and we did some hiking, we did some winery tastings, lots of really fun things. And then this year, we went to Torquay and had another great time. They were able to do some surfing lessons and kayaking on the second day. So we also provide lots of different sports opportunities, and these are more institute-wide than just specifically students, but you can join in some inter-institute tournaments like the footy that we just had in the previous week. There's also soccer that goes on throughout the year, as well as the table tennis tournament. We do WEHI Walk and Run, which is coming up later this month as well, and there are obviously other ways to connect with your other colleagues and do more sports. So my experience as a student has been very much enriched by the ability to have the student association, and I hope that you're going to hear a little bit more about how enriching this part is from the other students that are going to talk to you today. So thank you for listening, and oh, okay. And I would now like to introduce our next honours student who's going to speak today, which is Boya.
So thanks for the introduction. And I'm Boya, and I'm a recent honours graduate from WEHI and just about to start my PhD here. So in my honours year at WEHI, I discovered that Brighter Together wasn't just a slogan. It was actually the reality of my experience here. So WEHI is a community where the collaboration thrives and where everyone genuinely wants to see you succeed. So that's how we become Brighter Together. And so a bit about myself. Before joining WEHI, I started my Bachelor of Biomedicine degree at the University of Melbourne in July 2019 as part of the first mid-year intake cohort. So despite graduating with the top one across the year and awarded with the Bachelor of Biomedicine medal in 2023, my undergrad experience wasn't as fulfilling as I hoped, since joining mid-year meant I didn't have a lot of chance to socialize with established groups, which left me feeling a slightly bit isolated. And I still clearly remember my first day at WEHI, feeling very intimidated to start as a media honor student, and scared by how smart and focused everyone around me seemed to be. But I soon realized I was fortunately supported in every way I can imagine by my supervisors, my lab mates, and also our wonderful education office. So the culture at WEHI really encourages open conversations and communications, ensuring no one feels neglected. So here I really found the sense of community and connection that I've missed during my undergraduate years. And my passion for science actually grew stronger at WEHI, so science here isn't just about lab work, as Joe mentioned. It extends into seminars, social events, and also everyday interactions. So whenever I feel stuck or running out of experimental clue, I can always attend social journal clubs or reach out to our experts within different facilities of WEHI. So we even have a lab helper email group to just borrow reagents, ensuring that our experiment doesn't pause just by stupid little reasons. So we can help each other out. And high productivity here is built upon a culture of sharing and helping, and on the access to a variety of different resources, not on overworking. So WEHI also gave me chances to meet a lot of incredible people, which include my partner, who shares the same enthusiasm as me for both science and life. So our connection actually started from a random conversation in the tea room just outside this auditorium, which is also the place you can find free biscuits and cookies every afternoon to just fill yourself up. And I know many of you might feel nervous about fitting into a place like WEHI, where everyone seems to be very talented. But as long as you're passionate and dedicated to do some good science, WEHI would be a perfect place for you. And the skills you lack right now will eventually come with time and experience. And my project in honors focused on X chromosome inactivation during female development, which was very challenging for me at first, because transitioning from dealing with animal models to culturing embryonic stem cells at flow cytometry was entering a completely new territory. And I still remember the first time I hear my supervisor say, "Oh, the cells look happy," and I laughed because I thought, how can the cells have emotions? But after a year, I found myself doing exactly the same thing, because I've grown connected to these cells, and seeing them thrive is incredibly motivating for me. And as I delved deeper into studying X chromosome activation, I also began to appreciate the intricate connection between life and science. And the more I came to value my identity as a woman. And believe me, it really feels amazing when your love for life and science come together. So respect is another key part of my WEHI experience, whether it is for the work we do, the diversity we represent, or the balance we need into our daily lives. So my project was always guided by advice, never by directives. This allows me to fully take my ownership, whereas also feeling very supported. So just in short, WEHI is where I've grown both as a scientist and as a person. So it is a place where passion, respect, and collaboration truly come together, and making the journey about so much more than just simple research. And thank you for listening, and I'm really looking forward to seeing many of you joining our big family next year. And next, let's welcome Xinyu to talk about his experience as a PhD student here at WEHI.
Hi, everyone. I'm the PhD student who is from Melissa's lab. Since she is worried that I'm going to comment on the lab, so please be mindful about my talk. And later in the poster session, you can talk to Melissa, say, how do you think about my talk? Do I really comment something on it? On her. So let me introduce myself. So I'm a PhD student at WEHI who is from CoLab, and I'm based in the structural biology division. My connection with WEHI actually started during my undergraduate, or actually is like honors equivalent, because so I spent my undergraduate study at Tsinghua University in Beijing, China during 2016 to 2020. And the last year, I got the chance to have the 1-year placement at WEHI during 2019 to 2020, which unfortunately is during the COVID time. But actually, the year at WEHI make me feel like I want to come back, because the whole honors experience is actually very pleasant. Because the first thing is WEHI is, of course, an institute that doing good science, and there are lots of good projects here. And I'm fortunately enough to get my first paper in my life out during this honors year, because of everyone's collaboration, and also thanks for my supervisor's great ideas. And second thing is, I actually really appreciate that at WEHI, everyone is so supportive, and also like, for example, lots of projects that you want to do, and there are always some facilities to help you to doing that, which make you, there are always some aspect that you can find help from, make your life easier. And then the third thing is, of course, we have best supervisors, during the COVID time, I want to come back to do my PhD, and because of the Australia border closure, it's actually really hard to come back. But my supervisor is always keep communicating with me to, at least make me calm down, if that. And I also, keep tracking with the science, so I really appreciate that. So even though I think best is a little bit, too much, but in my mind, she's the best. And the fourth thing is, actually, at WEHI, you can also make friends very easily, because WEHI is big enough and diversified enough, so you can always find someone that shares similar interests as you. For me, personally speaking, I like eating, so I always have lots of I found lots of friends who can always, hang out with me at night. And actually, I tried lots of restaurants in Melbourne. I feel this is one of my biggest achievements during my PhD. And the last thing is, WEHI is like a community, like, we have WISA, like John said, and we have lots of events that are focused on different perspectives. So I really feel, supported, and feel like this is a place that, have strong belongings. And I also really appreciate the free food provided by WISA. So, I'm near the completion of my PhD, and actually my completion seminar was happening in 2 weeks' time. So when I look back about my PhD, I feel like, every moment I enjoy that, because the first thing is, like I said, WEHI is a place to do science. And I got my first author paper published recently, so I really feel great about it. And also, I went to the student retreat with my friends, who, we have a boat party, even though it's even very windy, but I really enjoy the cruise. And I go to, eat out. Like I said, I eat out a lot with my friends. Like I go to Korean barbecue, I go to hot pot. And we have a KFC party for my birthday at WEHI. And as the last, I also go sightseeing with my supervisors in London during a conference, so I really appreciate that. So I hope my experience convinced you that WEHI is really a happy place to do your science and do good science, so thank you.
Hello, everyone. I would like to echo those food thoughts. WEHI is really a good place for free food. My name is Andreas. I'm a clinician, and I'm doing my PhD here since a year at WEHI. Well, they asked me to give some career advice, which I always think is very individual and very personal. So I want to start by saying my own trajectory, which is quite not very common career trajectory, but I started my MD in Belgium, in Ghent University, in a medieval town, as you can see. I did my master's thesis at VIB, which was in inflammation. And then after graduation, it's a 6-year med degree in Europe. After graduation, I did 1 year of junior doctor in the Netherlands Cancer Institute in Amsterdam, before coming here next year and starting my PhD in inflammation in the master in Vince lab. So I thought of like what metaphor would resonate with an audience that I presume is mostly Gen Z. I came up with this terrible iPhone Pro metaphor. Well, obviously I'm also Gen Z technically. I'm from '97. So and I think the question was what I think is valuable being a clinician and doing research. I think it's all about perspectives in science, and I think a clinician has a really good ultra-wide lens, as in you're really trained to see symptoms and you know a little bit about everything, but not very in-depth knowledge all the time. And I think doing a basic science degree here at WEHI really learned me to view the science in a telephoto way, where you're really good at going into detail of what you're studying. This is just an image of one of my projects, which is a CRISPR screening project, where we basically have skin cells that we genetically modified to express colors, basically, and we're searching for a new drug target in inflammatory skin diseases, which is just a way of saying I think it's very valuable to be able to do both, zooming in and having that holistic perspective on the science, which is quite unique for clinician researchers. So I think some people might be interested in doing an MD, and I think that's the main value of it in doing science as a clinician. So, and ultimately you want to have the good camera, the one you use all the time, to have a good perspective on it. And secondly, I think the advantage is basically the end goal of doing science is, I think, to bring more treatments to more patients. And that's something, it's been said before, WEHI is really good at. They've had a number of, like a very good track record in that. And it's one of the reasons WEHI is such a successful research institute. And as a clinician, you have a unique ability to see the different phases of drug development. So I'm now doing discovery and preclinical science in my PhD. But in the past, I could do some clinical trials as well. And if you know all of these phases of drug development, you can really have a big impact, which is what WEHI is all about. Actually, the phase 0, 1, and 1B, they're mainly done by industry, but WEHI is really good at, they give business development courses so that you can virtually do all the phases of drug development. And I think that's what's pretty unique about our institute as well. So I think the end, this was another dumb metaphor. You know, where you have those thoughts that seem very good at the time, but then you regret them later. So I use an astronaut to say, like, what's your motivation? Obviously, I have a different career trajectory, and I would be, I would advise you to do the same, but I think it's ultimately within yourselves. Ask yourself, what's your motivation? And in med school, they always talk about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, where intrinsic is the purely altruistic motives of doing what you do, and extrinsic is more about financial incentives and status and what's like and so forth. But I think if you look within yourself and you think you're really passionate about science, I think WEHI is ultimately the best research institute in Australia to do your PhD. And I wanted to end with some photos of our student retreats of last year, which I do a shout out to WESA, if you do your PhD here, to join WESA, because it's a very good experience. And as you can see, we have really bright students, but very terrible surfers here at WESA. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Oh my God, there's so many of you. This is awesome. It's great to see that so many of you are interested in, stand this way, in starting your research journey here. So I'm Jess Borger, and I'm the Scientific Education Program Leader here at WEHI. And I'm going to talk to you about application and selection process. And I'm the last person to speak, and then you get to go out and you guys get to speak and meet all the supervisors and eat and drink. We've talked a lot about food, haven't we? There's more of it out there for you. So I'll be fast so you can get to that food. And just to start off with, I want you to see the Scientific Education Office. When you leave this room, we are the first table to see. And please come up and chat to us, okay? There are a lot of us here, and that is because we want to make sure you have the best research journey we can make for you. And hopefully that inspires you to become our future scientists. There are two main teams that you'll be able to speak to today. There's the scientific education team. We're a bunch of academics, so we can help answer your questions about what's an honours like, what's a master's like, what are you going to be in for? And then we also have the student experience team, and they're going to be able to help answer all your questions about the application process, about scholarships, and also all the different sort of wellbeing opportunities we have here at WESA. So please make sure there's our faces. We'll be right out the door when you leave. So go say hello to some of us. Right, the most important thing, how to find a project. That is what you are here for today. We have some QR codes. Have a quick scan now. They're going to keep repeating in the slides, so don't worry. Oh my God, this is what it feels like to be in a rock stage or something. It's like, yeah, you can all put your torches on, it'll be fun. So you can see, you can either connect and have a look at the student research projects, or you can have a look at the research groups. All right, they'll keep popping up, so I'll just keep going through the slides. Now, I wanted to start off with some top tips for when you go out there, what you should do. So the first thing is, think of the research fields of science you're passionate about. What have you been doing in your undergrad that really floats your boat, okay? And it can be quite diverse, and it might not be advertised out there, right? But make an effort to speak to a bunch of the supervisors, because there's a lot of cross-disciplinary stuff going on, all right? We don't all research in a little box. We like to research with other people. So your interests might be there. They might just not be up in flashing lights. Also, keep an open mind on projects. I think Mel said this as well. You know, I hope there are some of you that want to go out there and cure cancer, and I hope you achieve that in life. But, you know, we haven't eradicated malaria either, right? And we do parasitology here. So do think of a few different things that might interest you. Once you've identified those research projects you're interested in that are also up here on the QR code, start to connect with the WEHI supervisors out there. You know, it might be very busy at one, and that's your first person you really, really wanted to see. We've got a few hours here, okay? So you can go out, speak to a few more, and come back to them, okay? Find out about the labs from current and previous students. You know, we've got a whole bunch of students here. Also talk to them, find out what it's like, their perspectives as well, because you're going to be one of them one day. So do feel free to speak to them as well. And then when you've found the project that you like, the supervisor you like, the lab that you like, do contact them. Write an email, ask to see if you can meet them, and have a bit more of a one-on-one chat with them about the project, okay? Please do that. They will answer your emails. They're looking for students. So, you know, offer to have a coffee and get them to have it here so you can have the coffee and the free biscuits, okay? But do reach out to them. Don't be scared. So, now the time to talk about the different projects. The honours program that Boya came from, and one clause is I'm the honours convener, so you're going to have to put up with me. You're going to have to like me. I don't know, you can talk to Boya afterwards and find out what I'm like, and that might make your decision. But we have an honours program that is run through Uni Melb, and you can enrol either through the Bachelor of Science or the Bachelor of Biomedicine, and we have both start and mid-year. So Boya was one of the mid-years. It's a much smaller cohort, but if you think that might be you, do come up and speak to Boya today to find out what that's like. It's made up of two components, quite an intensive coursework component right at the beginning to train you with sort of your scientific communication skills and research skills. And then we have a larger research project that you undertake throughout your entire year here. And we also, I think that's all I need to tell you for here, and if you have questions you can ask me afterwards. And then we also have an Alan Harris scholarship that you are awarded when you commence. So that's a nice little thing to add to your CV and also your bank balance. Master's program. So we don't teach the masters here, but we look after you. So we have a master's coordinator. Again, you're enrolled through the University of Melbourne. This time it's a 2-year course. So with honours here, we do have a high cut-off rate of 75 for your WAM. So maybe if you're not coming in at that, you might be interested in doing the masters. So that will help prepare you and give you a little bit more research and background coursework skills in case you want to do a PhD. And so that, again, is two components. You have the research project, which goes on for the whole 2 years. But at the beginning, in that first year, it's quite coursework heavy. And that gives you both discipline skills, you know, for whichever discipline you choose here at WEHI, but also professional skills. So another thing about the masters is that, yeah, you might not want to go into a PhD and be an academic. You might want to go into the commercial arm of things or industry. So you will also get those skills through this masters. So it's quite good in that respect. It it looks after a broad range of skills development. And again, you also get awarded the Alan Harris, or you're eligible for the Alan Harris Scholarship here at WEHI. So how to apply? I'm at a weird angle, I have to look at the screen. How to apply? So go speak to supervisors tonight, identify a project. Once you've done that, as I said, organise to have a chat with them, okay? Once you've done that, confirm that they would like to have you as a student, and then email us at Education, and please send through your CV and your academic transcript, because we do need to make sure that you're eligible. Then you have to submit an application through MDHS, and so you'll see that that's that barcode, or QR code, not barcode, we're not buying products, are we? That's the QR code right there. Please put it down as your first preference, the project, in something called Sonia, and then please make sure you've applied by the 31st of October if you want to be in start year next year, okay? Master's application, basically a similar process. You need to apply for the Masters of Biomedical Science if you're interested in that, and that goes through the MDHS website, so that's our faculty. You can see again there the QR code at the bottom. Once you're accepted into the program, you're then given access to the project database, and you can start selecting your projects and reaching out to supervisors. Again, you can get in early, and that's why you're here today, so you can start talking to supervisors already now and indicate that you're interested in Masters. Again, you put your preferences into Sonia, and then you'll be contacted by the uni. And that's a bit of a later due date. That's towards the end of November this year. So you have a bit more wiggle room to think of, do you want to do honours, do you want to do Masters? So I think I only started here last year, but the majority of you are usually here about PhD interests, I'm thinking. So I put up a bit of a schematic so you know what you're in for with a PhD. It's anywhere between 3 to 4 years, depending on how your scientific questions go at being addressed. And, you know, it's never usually a road like this. It's a bit of a roller coaster. It's fun. But just to let you know, you've already heard that there are the most amazing supervisors ever here. But in addition to that, you also have an advisory committee that are there to help support you in that journey. And you can see that they touch base with you at a confirmation stage in your first year, and then every year thereon, there's a progress review, and they're really there to help you and guide you throughout your PhD time with us. In addition to that, when you're here at WEHI, you also attend a huge amount of different sorts of seminars. You will go to seminars on your discipline, but you will also go to bigger cross-disciplinary seminars to see what's being done here at WEHI and how maybe your research can start addressing bigger questions. You will also yourself present at seminars. You will be on this stage presenting, and Nobel laureates have stood here. I've stood here, right? But you get to stand here and present your research as well, which is really awesome. You will write a literature review. This happens in your first year. You'll write some progress reviews, and then you finish up with writing a thesis that goes on your bookcase, and it is the best Christmas present to give to your parents. They will love you forever after that. Mine still sits there on their bookcase, yeah. And then the other thing is you will also get to participate in scholarly activities, so you will get to go to conferences and all that fun stuff where you get to network and talk about your science and hear about others. And as you've heard with WESA, there are a lot of social activities here as well. Really, you know, I've been to a few different universities and MRIs, and really, a friend told me, called this the scientist's playground, right? It really is. All the research you want to do, all the technologies you want to use are here. And then for social activities, how they bring the student community together is absolutely, you won't find it anywhere else. I can absolutely vouch for that. And then in addition to, and I'll talk about that in the next slide, that you do need to achieve a scholarship, usually an RTP through UniMelb. We also do give you top-ups to that as well, okay? So the PhD requirements, there are two. One is dictated by University of Melbourne, so you have to at least have an H1 and a score of 80, and you can see there how to calculate that if you're not sure. Now, that is just to be accepted as a PhD candidate. To be accepted as a PhD candidate at WEHI, you also need to achieve a scholarship of some form. This is generally, as I mentioned, an RTP scholarship. For those, over the last few years, you are going to need a bit more than 80. But that does change each year, and you can again talk to the Education Office about that later, about your own personal situations. If you don't get an RTP, there are a few possibilities here. At WEHI, you may be funded by a supervisor, a lab, or WEHI opportunities, but these are very, very individual circumstances and cases, and this is where it'll be best that you start talking to supervisors now. So they're the PhD entry requirements. How to apply? Again, our QR codes. get out there today, talk to supervisors. I don't think we need to say it enough. Confirm your project, send it through to education again with your CV and your academic transcripts so we can look at your eligibility, and then you need to apply to enter into the PhD program and then obtain that scholarship. Again, very similar dates for everything. You do need to apply for first round offers, the 31st of October, but there are some other rounds later on in the year, and again, if you want to sort of understand which round is better for you to apply for, do talk to the education office that will be sitting just out there. There are also undergrad opportunities. If any of you are in your second or third year and you're not just about to complete, for next year you can be placed. There are course placements, there are various third year research placements where you do sort of, I think it's about 12 weeks. We also have vacation scholars and Metcalfe scholars, and they are remunerated positions, and then you'll get to experience the research environment here as well before you go into honours or masters, and you can start dipping your feet into it. For that one, I would recommend contacting supervisors directly and speak to the supervisors out there. They're not here just to talk about PhD and honours. They want to meet every student, but you can also talk to the education office as well if you want a few more details. And there's the QR code again. So I think that takes us almost up to the networking session. What you should do, go out and talk. We've said it a million times. Meet members of WESA. Is there more than just you here, Joel? There is, right? There'll be a bunch of you. Yeah, there's a bunch of people. So talk to them. You have a stand somewhere further down that way, come visit the education team. There's also the clinical discovery and translation team, so you can talk about what it's like to be a clinician scientist. There are QR codes everywhere that will take you to the projects pages and lab tours. Do them, they're awesome. Then you get to see the scientist playground, right? And they commence at the western end from 5 p.m, but they keep going on increments of, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, I'm going to say. People are nodding at me, yes, 10, 15 minutes. So if it is busy the first time, just wait, grab something to eat, and then you can go a bit later. I believe there's questions, a bit of question time. Where are we sitting? No, not 5 minutes? 1:45? Was it meant to stop at 1:45?
Does anyone have a pressing question for Jess
that everyone can benefit from? Don't be scared, we are here to answer questions. Awesome, does this mean we've answered everything? That's brilliant, oh no, is there a question? No. One question, excellent, thank you, we want one.
This is...
Now hopefully I can answer, it'll be embarrassing if I can't, won't it?
Okay, I have a very little tiny questions about if they're in the building have supercomputer networks or something, or that can help us to do the massive amount and analysis data or something?
Big data, so is that if we have big data projects? Yes, absolutely, we have a whole, sorry, I'm not by the microphone, I'm very loud, I assume everyone can hear me. We have a big bioinformatics, oh my God, division here as well as research computing. So we have big machines with lots of memory and can do I'm not a I'm an immunologist, I don't do the computing thing, but there you go, yes. But we have projects in that as well, you know, and even some of our honours students now are coming through bioinformatics. So, yep, we have that as well.
So that means that we don't have to rent like a Google Drive or something, or supercomputer system, so that we can...
no. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
That's awesome, thank you.
All right, you're in, we've got a student, excellent, all right. Awesome. Yep, Diana's nodding at me going, stop talking, Jess. Okay, all right. So I think, is that it? Am I asking everyone to just... Yep, pick up your things, off you go.